These Catholic brothers were suspended from a Canadian school for wearing "there are only two genders" shirts. So, I mean, that is just a true statement, isn't it? A bunch of teachers protested their return by wearing pride clothing. So they're just activists. They've taken off the mask. No, we're not here to teach. We're here to indoctrinate. We're here to be activists for weird, anti-reality ideas. And that's it. It's astonishing. A 16-year-old Catholic student at an Ontario public high school is being suspended and is facing expulsion for wearing a sweatshirt with an inscription reading, "There are only two genders." I mean, it's just true is the thing. The young man was ordered to go to the school office where it was demanded that he remove the hoodie or be suspended. When Malachi O'Kane said that he was just expressing his beliefs in the same way that many LGBT posters at the school were expressing opposing beliefs, the school's vice principal walked out of the room. So the school's vice principal walked out of the room. Just gets up and walks out. How did this happen? How did these people take over the schools? Everybody's been asleep for way, way, way too long. A lot of us have woken up, obviously, but there's still a lot that are still asleep. Now Malachi finds himself at the center of a fiery international debate on freedom of expression, biological truth, and the uncompromising LGBT agenda. As the LGBT cult rages for greater control, Malachi's unwavering stance challenges this movement, while also shining a light on the school officials who have suspended him. Despite the suspension, Malachi is standing firm, trusting in God, relying on his Catholic faith, and becoming a symbol of truth in the face of adversity. So you have a high school student who is apparently the only person in the school who understands biology. The entire school is just an indoctrination mill. It's a cult indoctrination mill where the adult in the room will just walk out if they hear something they don't like or something that they don't have an answer for. If they're challenged and they don't have an answer, just walk out. I mean, that is the modern left to a T, is it not? It doesn't seem like they're very often, I mean, never mind willing, but able to debate their ideas. And this is why, because they just get up and leave the room, or they shout or they scream or they cry. And they make sure everybody around them knows, don't say things that we don't agree with. In other words, don't say anything true or that reflects reality. I mean, how pathetic is that? You have to get up and leave the room because a teenager challenged you and you don't have an answer. Tell you what, this high school student should be running the school. If there were any justice, they would just promote this. They would just hire this kid to run the school because he'd do a better job because at least he knows what reality is. So Malachi O'Kane, along with his brother Desmond, were suspended from Charbot Lakes Granite Ridge Education Center for wearing these factual shirts. And then when Desmond, who served a shorter suspension, returned to school, a bunch of the teachers were dressed in 2SLGBTQIA+. Last week I couldn't remember what the I was for. They just added that one in. It's intersex, I believe. The plus is for all of the things that they're certain exist, but they just don't know what they are yet. Because science. But all the teachers, when Desmond returned after a shorter suspension, a bunch of the teachers were dressed in the alphabet person attire, apparently in support of the other 294 genders that these people receive tax money to tell children are real. It doesn't seem like something a sane society would do. On Friday, April 26, elementary school teachers at the Charbot Lakes Granite Ridge Education Center wore rainbow festooned. That's a good word, festooned. I like that one. Got to remember to use that more. Rainbow festooned LGBT pride clothing to work. This followed the publication of a LifeSite News article about the suspension of brothers Malachi and Desmond O'Kane. In an interview with Malachi and his mother, Kate, on Thursday, April 25th. So, These are supposed to be the empathetic people, the kind people, the wise people, the teachers, the people educating the youth, right? So you have two students who don't agree with them and are willing to take a stand. And remember, being a teenager, standing out, taking criticism, kind of a hard thing to do when you're a teenager. It's really important to fit in for most teenagers. You don't want to be singled out and demonized. So you've got these two kids who have the courage to actually, express their convictions. And the teachers, in response, when the kid comes back, essentially bully him. Well, let's show that teenager. Let's show that high school student who dared to stand against us. Let's show him. Let's solidarity.
And that's nothing but pure and simple old-fashioned communism.
And you can bet every last one of them's a socialist or just an outright communist. They may not even know it, but if you listen to their beliefs, if they explain their beliefs to you, I bet you a large percentage of them. Just think about that. These are teachers. We're going to show those teenagers who dare to stand against us. How dare they? Those teenagers are hate. Fuck you. What
the fuck is it with you?
I don't know what it is with them. No, I do know. They're useful idiots. They're narcissists. The empathy people display very little of it. Let's see. Also, these gender unicorn posters are posted all throughout the school, though it sounds like those have been there for a while. So all over the school, they've got gender unicorn posters to mislead children about not only basic biology, but like basic psychology as well. None of this stuff is real. These are all just abstract ideas that they're pretending have some scientific basis. They don't. This is more like metaphysics. This has nothing to do with reality. They perform this trivial redefinition of the word gender. And I don't mean that the effects of this are trivial, but the redefinition in itself is just silly. That's what I mean by trivial. It's just silly. It's inane. It's absurd. Humans are sexually reproducing, sexually dimorphic species. That's what we are. That's reality. I don't need to be a biologist to tell you that. Although any sane biologist will tell you that. Do you think they're teaching that in this school? Obviously not. The gender unicorn. Hey, you know what? They're not actually unicorns, though. The students aren't actually unicorns. They're humans. Again, they're part of a sexually reproducing, sexually dimorphic species. Unicorns are magical creatures that don't exist. Let me ask you this. Let me pose you this question. Do you want your doctor, your surgeon, the police, your accountant, the people who engineer your car or the plane that you fly on, do you want them to think that they're magical creatures, that they're magical unicorns? Because, by the way, in all of this, you can also identify as an actual unicorn. You can be unicorn gender. This is from LGBTQIA+ wiki, unicorn gender. Let's make this... It's even got its own goddamn flag. Jesus. Well, there's the official unicorn gender flag. This is the alternative unicorn gender flag. Unicorn gender is a xenogender. That's not a real thing, by the way. That can feel ethereal, delicate, magical, soft and or almost inhuman. Because it's real, of course. Because it's real.
Not in this lifetime, Sonny.
None of this is real. When this is a part of your ideology, that means the whole thing's not real. Right here, similar terms, pony gender. If pony gender or unicorn gender or xenogender is a part of your belief system, you are in a cult. You should not be a teacher. This should be nowhere in a school because it's retarded. No, so you don't want the people who do important things in society to think that they're gender unicorns. Unicorns of any kind. You want them to be just normal, sane people who are not confused about reality. Your surgeon, you don't want to be confused about reality. So what do we have? We have a bunch of activist teachers behaving absolutely shamefully. They should be encouraging dissent. They should be encouraging argument. I mean, this is how you know that it's a cult, that these people are activists. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, unless what they're supposed to be doing is indoctrinating. If they had any interest in these children's intellectual development, they would encourage them to dissent. They would be willing to argue it. They wouldn't do incredibly childish things like when the kid gets off suspension, well, obviously should never have been suspended in the first place, but when they get off, I'll show up festooned, rainbow festooned, to just rub their noses in it. And I get, this is just bullying. How embarrassing. How embarrassing it would be to be these people. How pathetic. But also not at all surprising, given what we've seen. Let's go to the chat for a second. I really worked myself up there. Got myself really worked up. Radio Streamer says, teacher, today's lesson on what to think, not how. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Sharing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.